What would happen to the world if the Antarctic ice sheet melted? Today, Antarctica holds about 25.4 million cubic kilometers of ice. This means it stores 60% of the world's fresh water and 90% of its ice and snow. Once all this ice melts, the first impact will be a global sea level rise. Sea levels will rise by an average of 70 meters. This will completely redraw the world map as we know it. All coastlines will be submerged. Coastal cities worldwide will cease to exist. Florida will vanish entirely. Denmark and the Netherlands, along with Bangladesh, will be swallowed by the sea. Most territories of lowly nations like the UK and Uruguay will sink. Indonesia will not escape the impact either. Australia will see the formation of a vast inland sea. River estuaries will expand dramatically, extending deep into the inland. Vast plains will turn into wetlands. This catastrophe of land submergence will displace billions of people. It is estimated that 40% of the global population will need to flee to higher ground. Currently, 98% of Antarctica is still covered by permanent glaciers. Once the glaciers disappear, Antarctica will no longer be a solid continent. Instead, it will become an archipelago of several large islands. More alarmingly, as the Antarctic ice sheet melts, Arctic glaciers will also vanish, revealing the land of Greenland once hidden under the ice. Some might think that the new land could replace what was lost to the sea. A stroke of luck, but the opposite is true. What follows will be even more extreme climate disasters. The white surface of ice and snow reflects most sunlight back into space. But when glaciers melt, darker oceans and exposed land will absorb more solar heat, further accelerating surface warming. This is the effect of reduced albedo. Not only that, melting glaciers in parts of Antarctica will release greenhouse gases trapped under ice and permafrost for millions of years. As these gases enter the atmosphere, they will intensify the greenhouse effect, driving global warming into a vicious cycle. Before Earth's temperature exceeds a critical threshold. In June 2023, the Earth experienced a period of global boiling. If the Antarctic ice sheet were to melt entirely, it would mean Earth's temperature has far surpassed the most extreme climate predictions. Global average temperatures will soar by 10 to 14 degrees Celsius. By then, tropical regions will become completely uninhabitable for humans. Today's most densely populated areas will no longer be livable. Survivors will be forced to migrate toward the poles in search of a place to survive. Those who manage to survive will face immense suffering, including total crop failures and the complete collapse of ecosystems, regardless of how fast the ice melts, including humans. It is an absolute path to doomsday for animals and plants. Even if some life survives, the melting of Antarctic glaciers will fundamentally alter Earth's geography. Earth's lithosphere consists of rigid plates about 50 to 200 kilometers thick, floating on the molten magma below. When the thick ice sheet of Antarctica melts away, once the pressure is gone, the crustal plates below will gradually rise. To reach a new gravitational balance, this process is known as post-glacial rebound. Although this process is extremely slow, the trend of land elevation will continue. This phenomenon has already been observed in other glaciated regions worldwide, such as northern Canada and the Scandinavian peninsula. Even millennia after the last ice age ended, the land in these areas is still rising. It is estimated that the rate of crustal rebound is about 7.5 centimeters per year for the first 2,000 years, then slows down to 2.5 centimeters per year, and eventually drops to 1 centimeter per year. The entire process will last about 20,000 years. As you may not know, Antarctica hasn't always been covered in ice. About 90 million years ago, in the late Cretaceous, Antarctica was a temperate rain. Its landscape was quite similar to modern-day New Zealand. That period was one of the hottest stages in the last 140 million years. Atmospheric CO2 concentrations were between 1,120 and 1,680 ppm. This lush Antarctica was once a paradise for ancient animals. Fossil evidence shows the Antarctic ice sheet began forming about 35 million years ago, when global temperatures were only about 4 degrees Celsius higher than now. One key reason was Antarctica's geographic isolation. Located at the South Pole, surrounding oceanic currents gradually formed. Plus, the continental plate of South America, once connected to Antarctica, began to separate. This isolated geographic position reduced the exchange of warm air, leading to continuous cooling in the region, and ultimately promoting the formation of the ice sheet. The thickening ice sheet then reflected more sunlight, further reinforcing the cooling effect. Even from a scientific perspective, it would take an extremely long time for the Antarctic ice sheet to melt completely. Human impact ultimately cannot rival the raw power of nature.